buy it off the internet. I suppose that's the one silver lining. You would not be able to just buy it off the internet. Okay. You would have to engineer it. But the parts used, they operate at 433 megahertz, which is a hobbyist frequency. It's not licensed by the FCC. It's not a special frequency that only certain people can use. It's broadly available. The parts to put it together are widely available on the internet. So it would be a little bit of work, but not more work than a truly determined stalker would be willing to put in.
That's horrifying. And I think, like you spoke about, you were a cancer survivor. My mother, 5 years ago, she was diagnosed also with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. And the sad state of affairs in our world today is that the first thing that happened when they told her you have stage 4 cancer, we had to sit and go, well, what could it be? Is it the GMO that has been shown in independent tests to cause tumors in lab rats? Is it, you know, the CFL light bulbs? She had filled her house with these light bulbs that are always putting out that really high, low frequency wave, and she's closed in with that all night long. Is it that? I mean, is it, you know, all the chemicals that are being sprayed on the food? Is it this constant inundation with all the other frequency that's around us all the time, the smart meters? And she was living in a place that had that. I mean, and you just don't know anymore because we have so much stuff happening all around us all the time, and you have to follow the money on some of these things. I mean, isn't this Northside ISD, aren't these people standing to make a substantial amount of money off this as well?
This is a couple hundred, it was a $200,000 contract to put this in, and this is just the pilot. So this is 4,200 kids out of over 100,000 students in the district. So do the math. I mean, you multiply that out, and you've got literally millions coming into this small company. When we interviewed them on camera yesterday and said, you know, what would it look like if you got the contract for the whole country? You know, and their eyes just lit up. I mean, obviously, that's an immense contract.
That's the plan, I think, too. I think that's the ultimate goal.
Once you've got the kids tagged, and once you've got them accustomed to this idea that authority figures, government authority figures, which is what school officials are, that government authorities can have the moral, legal, ethical right to track them, they're going to grow up into adults who aren't going to think twice when the next move is to put them on the street corners and at the entrance to the grocery store and every other place in the public arena. And then you're going to wind up with exactly what I was describing, where we're there in our car at the corner, and somebody somewhere could zoom in on that little circle and say, oh, there's Katherine Albrecht sitting in a car with Heather Fazio, and oh, they're going northbound.
And the ultimate plan to tie that into the cashless society, where they tie your finances in with your smart grid
well, and
information.
then that brings you, of course, to the mark of the beast, because you know, that's what was predicted 2,000 years ago. You know, the idea, Melissa, that 2,000 years ago, a scraggly guy, age 80, in exile on an island off the coast of Greece, who was the Apostle John, would have a vision and be able to predict that 2,000 years later we'd have a world in which people could buy and sell with a number. Mind-blowing. A world where there would be one government for the entire globe. A world, even for him, even the idea that you would be able to identify all people, rich and poor, free and bond, you know, great and small, was incredible. They didn't even know it was over the next ridge in many cases. And yet now we're able to pinpoint the entire globe from a satellite and find a quarter lying in somebody's backyard. So, you know, to me, when people ask me what's happening, how does it tie in with biblical prophecy, I always say, you know, if the world were going, well, first of all, the world's going to hell. I think everybody agrees it's going to hell.
I think so, in a handbasket.
And you don't have to be a Christian to say that.
No.
If it were going to hell randomly, I'd be scared. If it didn't look like what was in the Bible, then I would be nail-biting scared.
Exactly.
But the fact that it's going to hell in precisely the exact way that we were told it was going to happen, then I have to say, okay, well, he's not going to get that part right and not get the next part right, too.
Exactly.
And that's the good news that comes in, is that in the end, the good guys win.
Exactly.
So that's what I cling to, and that's what helps me to get through these dark times. And then the other thing is, you know, I've been doing this since 1999, and I've given many interviews that depressed and discouraged people. You know, not on purpose, just telling what I knew. I at one point had a woman reach out to me via email, and she said, Katherine, you really need like a crisis hotline for people who've heard you speak, who are so stressed out that we're freaking out. You need some kind of phone number people can call for counseling. And I went, I don't want to do that to people. That's terrible. So that is why I stepped back and I said, instead of just giving people bad news, you've got to give people solutions. You've got to give people the positive. So this would be a good time to thank StartPage, the world's most private search engine, for existing, first of all, to give us an alternative to Google. So we've got a way to go online and not be tracked, but also for helping to fund my trip to San Antonio and supporting the privacy work that I'm doing right now. So there is good news. There are things that we can do. We can opt out. We can homeschool our kids. We can put them in different schools. We don't have to send them to these government institutions. We don't have to use Google. We don't have to log into the global brain 10, 15, 20 times a day and mind meld with it and tell it everything we're thinking about. You know, we have alternatives. And the frustrating part for me is when I see people who know better who don't use the alternatives. You know, people with a toll transponder in their car, instead of just taking the extra 30 seconds and paying cash. You know, tracking device on your vehicle, you don't have to do it. Once it's mandatory, then we'd have a different conversation. But when these things are voluntary, people shouldn't do them. No toll transponders. Don't use a credit card. Use cash, or we're going to lose cash. You know, don't use Google. Use Start Page. There's like things we can do to empower ourselves, and they're not hard, and they don't cost money. And I ask myself, if people are too wimpy to use these now, what's going to happen when it gets hard?
Exactly. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. We really appreciate it, and I hope you come back soon.
Thank you, Melissa.
Thanks. And I'm sorry that I had to cut her off like that, but she had to go get to her own radio show, so apologize to her and to the viewers. But actually, after this end of the credits, we're going to be showing not only a special report that I did when I first started here at the RFID protest, but also an interview with the Hernandez family. Andrea Hernandez, of course, being the student that spoke out against the RFID and was then expelled from school for refusing to wear it. So that's coming up for Prison Planet subscribers after the credits here. And if you want to become a subscriber, all you got to do is go to prisonplanet.tv. It's $5.95 a month for 11 subscriptions. You get all of our news, you get the radio show, our special reports, all of our movies, and you continue to help us get the word out on this, because like she said, this is not something that most people are talking about. The mainstream media is mostly ignoring this issue, but it is a huge issue, and we're what stands between this and the future that Dr. Albrecht just described for you. It's horrifying. And so that's about it for tonight's Infowars Nightly News. We'll see you back again tomorrow at 7 p.m. Central.